Anyone who watched Jaap Stam in his prime knew how incredible he was. At the peak of his powers, the Dutchman was arguably the best defender in the Premier League and one of the best in the world. And when Sir Alex Ferguson let him go, it was considered the biggest mistake that Ferguson made in his entire managerial career. But just how good was Jaap Stam really? It's been over 2 decades since Stam left the Premier League, and still only a few defenders have come close to what the defender achieved in just 3 seasons with United. Born on the 17th of July 1972 in Kampen, Netherlands, Stam began his career with local amateur football club Dutchman in 1988, before making his professional debut for FC Zwolle 4 years later in 1992 in the Eerste Divisie or Dutch Second Division. He then joined Cambuur, spending the next 2 seasons with the club before switching to Willem II in the Eredivisie. Despite playing most of the matches for these clubs, not many people really knew what Stam was capable of. Fortunately for the defender, his big break came midway through the 1995 and 96 season when one of the biggest clubs in Dutch football came calling. Stam joined PSV Eindhoven and would go on to win the KNVB Cup that same season, and then the Eredivisie, as well as the Johan Cruyff Shield the following season. After making almost a century of appearances and scoring a dozen goals as a center back for the Dutch Giants, Manchester United came calling. It was time to perform on the biggest stage. Manchester United had come second to Arsenal in the 1997 and 98 Premier League title race, with the Gunners also completing the double by lifting the FA Cup that same season. Arsene Wenger's side was looking to turn a huge season into a period of dominance, while Ferguson badly needed to bolster his ranks. PSV were unwilling to let go of Stam without a fight, initially valuing their star at £15 million. However, they were forced to accept a lower offer after Stam waived his right to 15% of the fee. United ended up sealing a 5-year contract with £10.6 million for Stam ahead of the 1998 and 1999 season. This made him the most expensive defender in history. The expectations were huge because of the Dutchman's price tag, but boy did he deliver as promised. Now 25 years old, Stam was entering his prime, and we were about to see the best version of the defender. In his first season with the Red Devils, the club won the treble, the Premier League, FA Cup, and Champions League. Stam played every minute of all the Champions League matches. Whether partnering with Henning Berg, Ronnie Janssen, or youngster Wes Brown, Stam was the main man in the United defense throughout the season. He followed the treble-winning season with consecutive Premier League titles for the next 2 seasons, forming a strong relationship with the new signing, Michael Sylvester. On an individual level, Stam won back-to-back UEFA Best Defender of the Year and PFA Team of the Year awards. By 2001, Stam was widely considered the best defender in Europe. Here's how we best remember Stam during his days at United. The Dutchman was a force to be reckoned with at the heart of the defense, a world-class defender who was tall, strong, and quick. Stam knew how to make great tackles, and he read the game brilliantly. He was also confident on the ball. Stam brought that vital defensive security to the team. Johan Cruyff said Stam was one of the footballers he most enjoyed watching, while Zinedine Zidane called him a beast. Legendary United goalkeeper Peter Schmeichel chose Stam as the best defender he had ever played behind. What did all these legends see in Stam? The defender's physical appearance scared the hell out of a lot of people. A bald 6'3" guy who had an ice-cold, emotionless disposition. Stam was an intimidating presence in defense, and his feisty side made him a notoriously difficult center back to play against. Strikers found it hard to win aerial contests or duel against the defender. Stam took no prisoners. At the final whistle, this guy usually left the pitch with a clean pair of shorts because he rarely had to dive in with last-ditch tackles. His pace was good enough to draw level with an opponent before whipping the ball away from their feet and feeding it back to a teammate. Anyone who dared to fight Stam immediately regretted it, and even those who didn't mean it also found themselves at the wrong end of the stick. One time, former Chilean striker Ivan Zamorano was stepping backward only to encounter an immovable object in Jaap Stam. Zamorano literally bounced off the defender. We also saw Stam come out on top against other hardmen like Duncan Ferguson and Patrick Vieira. Here is what Stam said about a player who dared to fight him. "A player recently came at me with a headbutt, so I grabbed him and put him in a headlock. He looked a bit blue when I let him go." One of Stam's major strengths was his simplicity. He wins the ball and then passes it almost always forward and almost always accurately. Nothing too much, he kept his man in front of him, never dived into tackles, and was rarely caught in no man's land. Stam was like a possession-winning machine. You could literally count the number of times you saw him lose a sprint. But it wasn't just about his physicality or style of play. Stam's demeanor on the pitch was something else. He had a defined role as a mature and straight character, not one to throw tantrums or engage in unnecessary fights. Stam meant business on the pitch, and once he was away from football, he mostly kept to himself. He recalled that he never quite fitted in the squad and always hated being a celebrity. Unfortunately for the defender, his prime didn't last as long as he would have loved. Stam always wanted to play out the remainder of his career at Old Trafford. He had already signed a new 5-year contract a couple of months earlier, and his wife had reportedly ordered a new kitchen for their Cheshire house. However, his candor would get him into trouble. Stam made some controversial statements in his autobiography, claiming that Ferguson's approach to buying him was done behind his club, PSV. He also allegedly had some unflattering words for his teammates. Coupled with an Achilles injury that had become a chronic problem, Alex Ferguson thought it was the perfect time to sell the Dutchman. According to Fergie, he reckoned the injury might cost Stam some of his mobility. Fergie replaced Stam with a 36-year-old Laurent Blanc and immediately regretted his decision. United struggled for the next half a decade to replace the void left by the 1997 Dutch Footballer of the Year. That void was never filled until Nemanja Vidic joined the club in 2006. After controversially being sold to Lazio, Stam saw his time at the club partially marred when he was found to have had a banned substance called nandrolone in his system following a Serie A game. Stam saw his 6-month ban reduced to a month after an appeal and saw success with the club, lifting the Coppa Italia at L'Aquile. The Dutchman then moved to Serie A giants AC Milan in 2004. His first season at the San Siro ended with Milan's shocking loss in Istanbul to Liverpool in the 2005 Champions League final. And after one more season in Italy, Stam made a move that felt right. He returned to the Netherlands, playing for Ajax for the next 2 seasons before hanging his boots. Despite spending only 3 seasons in the English Premier League, it is easy to see why Stam's name continues to pop up when talking about the best defenders of all time. When comparing United defenders to the ball bruiser, a few have matched well, like Serbian powerhouse Nemanja Vidic and Rio Ferdinand. Some fans might even put Vidic ahead of Stam, with the Serbian's all-around skill set and impact on Manchester United's defensive organization giving him the edge according to some. Also, because of Vidic's longevity and consistency over a sustained period at the highest level, some fans might rate him ahead of Stam, but we'll leave that up to you guys. However, most defenders have found themselves unfavorably compared with Stam. United's caliber of defenders in recent seasons, Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, Chris Smalling, Phil Jones, and the rest of the bunch are incomparable to Prime Stam. He remains a measuring stick for what makes a United central defender. Those Old Trafford resounding chants of Jaap Stam will stay in the hearts of fans forever, because Stam was the man who provided the foundation for all of United's attacking football during that period. But how would you rate Jaap Stam in his prime? Is he the greatest defender that Manchester United ever had? And what are your thoughts about Manchester United's current defensive lineup?